Hello, everyone. This is Paul, and welcome back to the Generation Latino Podcast. And Happy New Year. I really hope that you set your goals. I know we're about a month into the new year, and really make sure that you set your goals and that you are doing everything possible to achieve them. I know I am. I have some personal goals. I have some fitness goals. Recently applied for law school, and I'm just really trying to just enhance myself in the best way possible. I also wanted to share with you guys that the Generation Latino podcast is now on Instagram. So if you have an Instagram account, feel free to follow me. I was advised to have some form of social media. So I decided to get one for the podcast. So you can find me on Instagram at Generation Latino Podcast. So feel free to follow me. I just share videos and clips and things like that. I am so excited to welcome you to season 3, episode 1, and I truly can't think of a better way to start this new year than with a conversation rooted in growth, courage, and second chances. The start of the new year often has us reflecting on our goals, our dreams, and maybe even the ones we put on hold. And if going back to school or finally starting college has been on your heart, guys, this episode is especially for you. No matter your age, no matter your path, no matter your background, it is never too late to invest in yourself. And that's what college and school is all about. I want people to know that no matter how far fetched that dream is, still do it. Today, I'm joined by someone very special. Rosa Hernandez. She's the Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions for a private university. And Rosa isn't just an expert in higher education, she's also a dear friend of mine. We went to grad school together, and I've seen firsthand her passion for helping students, especially first generation students. She helps them navigate the college journey with confidence and clarity. And in this episode, we're breaking down the fears, the doubts, and the barriers that often stop people from going back to school. And I can tell you firsthand, guys, that going back to school is not easy. But if it's something you want to do, don't be afraid of it. We're talking honestly about what it takes, what to expect, and why you belong in higher education, whether you're 18 or 88. So if you're a first generation student, someone thinking about returning to school, or simply in need of a little inspiration to start the new year strong, this conversation is for you. I really hope you enjoy this episode. It's never too late. Reclaiming your college dream. For my listeners out there, Rosa and we met in grad school. We were both pursuing our master's degree in nonprofit management. And I have to say, Rosa has become one of my best friends that I have ever met through school. We've went through a lot of hard times together, deadlines together. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. And Paul, yes, like you mentioned, we grew to be very good friends out of basically our nonprofit management master's degree. So my name is Rosa Hernandez, and I serve as an associate director for a private institution in San Antonio, Texas. I'm a first-gen student, so I just recently graduated, just one semester behind you.
When I came up with the idea of having you on the podcast, I knew that you worked with a lot of first gen students. What inspired you to work in admissions, especially supporting first gen and Latino students?
I became my higher education journey as just as a processor, basically. That's when I started witnessing a lot of challenges on many students that they were facing without the proper guidance. And I think that's one of the most important things, that students need the guidance in order to feel comfortable and secure. So that really inspired me to put commitment into students and ensuring them that, especially our first generation students, to feel supported, to make them feel confident, but also to ensure that we empower them to provide them their higher education journey, that they're not walking alone through it.
I assume though, I know for me, like a lot of my students that I work with, they relate to me because they're like, oh, he's just like me. His parents only had a high school diploma, or even at that, some of the parents that I work with didn't even graduate high school. Do you feel that a lot of the students who come to you open up more to you because they it can relate to you?
Yes, most definitely. That's one thing that I do always like to mention to students because you like to make them feel comfortable and they could confide in you. But not only that, you're building a relationship and a trust with the student. A lot of these students are just like myself and others that their parents are not educated and they lack the knowledge of education, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible or that they can get informed. Sometimes I do make it very clear to the parent that we're not only educating their student through the admission process, but we're also there to educate the parent to walk aside them so they could feel secure that they're knowing all the information and making sure that this is the right decision for their student as well as them.
And I think too, a lot of times parents are like, it seems so foreign to them. So they're like, no, no, I don't even want to bother with that. That's a waste of my time. And then you have their kid who's like, Mom, no, I want to go to school. I want to learn something. But sometimes I feel like the parents hold them back a little bit. Do you see that sometimes?
Yes, a big part of it, of course, is because it's a lot of back and forth with the process. Financial aid is one that is heavy with a lot of parents. A lot of parents are not computer literate. The good thing about it is at a lot of colleges and institutions, and even at like Cafe College, they offer financial aid to help the parents fill it out, go back and forth. They walk them through the process so that it's not a barrier for them. So that is something that we do see a lot as well.
I know for me, when I first started school at my community college, I didn't even know what a FAFSA was. I didn't know that I needed my parents' tax forms. I knew nothing, Rosa, like at all. Was it the same for you personally as well?
Yes, I do remember kind of once when I was 18, like I said, my mom never graduated from high school. My dad did get a GED while he was in the service. So they weren't very informed. All they ever told my siblings and I was, you need to get an education. So at 18, when I applied to community college, my mom literally just handed me her income tax paper and says, you do it. And I was like, okay, thank God. I mean, there wasn't assistance the way there is now. Now you have CCMRs in schools, you have all sorts of organizations helping you, but back then was a education partnership. I still know the man. His name is Gene, and he would help me every year to fill out the FAFSA. I would take my mom's income tax, fill it out, and then he would get me prepared. So it was scary, like not knowing, but we got through it.
It's so interesting because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have the tenacity just to do it because again, I didn't have someone show me. I had to go to school and be like, "Hey, what do I do here?" And it was so foreign. So I really relate to people who feel discouraged to just even do an inquiry form, right? It's sad.
I discovered these past few years that it's a lot that the parent doesn't know. So I think that's where the misinformation is. So sometimes that's why I say you need to educate the parent as much as the student, just so they could share about it and talk about it and make it a topic at their home so they could know. More or less, all they know is like, I need to go to college. How am I going to get to college? So that's where you go into further detail, which now, like I said, there's tons of guidance. There's a bunch of sessions. Every college and university has different events and programs that are able to assist. So I don't think now that they should be that much of a barrier. It's just getting to get them information to them.
So you've dealt with hundreds, if not thousands, of students. When you think of first gen students you've met, what is one story that sticks out to you?
Well, I have worked nearly about 10 years now in the higher education. And like I said, I worked my way up back from the back of processing to a senior counselor, now to associate director. So you're right. I've seen so many students from the 2.5s to the 4.0s to the athlete, non athlete to the first gen. So there's been many stories that stayed with me. One I will tell you is that I had a student, I was able to offer her the Futuro Leadership Scholarship that we offer. She was having several financial hardship because of her mom's medical billings. She was able to maintain a 4.0 through it all. She was the oldest, but she also was going to graduate with her associate's degree before high school at a 3.93. Today, that student is set to graduate this spring 2026 with a double major. So she's graduating with a psychology and a criminal justice degree. She loves to share her story, how she never thought it would be possible, but it is possible. So that one story stayed with me so long, along with many others. It really helped me not only continue to do what I do, because she always reminds me if I never would have pushed her to believe in herself, she would have never continued. She was going to decide just to go into working and possibly just doing community college. And that's where she was going to stop. And I said, no, it's possible. You have the grades, you have the ability and the inspiration to help other students. So that's one story that I did have. But set aside from that one, I do have a recent one that I did want to share with you. I was at a fair in Houston where I had a student. He asked me if I could help him. And I said, sure, what is it that you need? And he goes, can you help me convince my dad that I don't want to just go straight into the workforce, that I want to pursue education because I think I'm worth it. That really like resembled a lot that we truly see in Hispanic households because due to the limit of exposure to our parents. I did reassure him that we would support him. His mom was on board on wanting to help him. It was just trying to convince the dad, which I think a lot of students don't see that there is an opportunity for those that have it, take it from those like him that don't have it. He did apply with our institution. He got admitted. We hope to see him in fall 2026. But if not, I do hope that he goes even to community college. I told him start off somewhere. Just don't give up on yourself.
Well, I think everybody needs a Rosa in their admissions department, to be honest. But you said something that really stuck out to me. You said that he was trying to convince his dad that he belonged in school. Why do you think, specifically with Latino men, that there is an issue with education or wanting to better yourself when it comes to academia?
Honestly, I think it's a lot of the belonging and the machismo that Hispanics have in males. They feel my dad's the breadwinner. They want to follow in the same place and be like, I need to work hard labor because that's what a man's supposed to do. And, so forth, whatever their beliefs are. But that's truly not the case anymore. I see a lot of students that are males that are very good educators. They're in the military or even out there doing stuff other than just being hard labor. While they're very well acknowledged and appreciated because we do need them, it doesn't mean you have to break your back still the way it was prior. And I think that's a big thing that our Hispanic household owed is that the man has to be the man and that's hard labor. And that's not the case anymore.
I couldn't agree with you more. So, what unique pressures do first gen Latino students carry into the college process? So, I know you see them before they even get to the classroom, but what pressures do you see in the process when they're with you?
One that I guess we keep repeating and mentioning is the limited of knowledge of higher education. With the lack of knowledge the parents do have, it hinders the student of not being accessible to the information as well, unless they build up the confidence and ask someone about the information. But also the family responsibility and obligation is a big one that I do see. Many students feel they have to financially support their family. They automatically feel the stress of financials. They have concerns about tuition, the debt, and how are they going to maintain a household and then also be able to maintain doing their tuition. I think a lot of it as well is our students on fear of failure. But if you don't ever fail, you will never know how to succeed. I think we all know that. I participate in that. I was always afraid of not meeting the expectations, not only of my parents, but of everybody else around me when I should have just been meeting the expectations I needed, which can be very impactful on them throughout their higher education process.
Do you think it is the student putting the pressure on themselves or the parent putting the pressure on the student? Both? What do you think it is?
I honestly think it's both because growing up as a Hispanic, we have to stand out. So we feel like we have to meet that expectation for the parents. So it's not so much that they put it on us, but it's already instilled in us like mom and dad sacrificed this, so I need to do this. So that kind of leads to it on ourselves, but it starts and it initiates with the expectation of the parents.
Speaking of families, how does family expectations shape the way students navigate school?
Having a lot of first gen students, many students balance out school, work, and caregiving. They also feel the pressure to need to be able to support first the household before supporting the academic goals, which could very well impact the student when sometimes more than usual, the parent will be okay. They stuff can go on and you could pursue what your dreams in order to be better. And that's how you do provide a better outcome for your family.
Why do you think education holds such a deep value in Latino households?
It often shows a pathway to opportunity, a stability, and a better life for the individual. Like I said, many families, especially parents, they've made a sacrifice or face very, very hard challenges to provide a better future for their kids. So earning an education is not just for themselves, it's for your family. It's not only a personal achievement. So it's a way that they honor, like, hey, mom and dad, you gave up this for me, and this is what I'm able to provide you.
No, I agree. And I think too, for all Latinos, a lot of us at least, every degree that we hold, I mean, you're on your second master's. I don't know any Latino who's like, I did this for myself. Like for me, I did it for my grandmother. I did it for my mother. I did it for my culture. Do you feel the same way? How do you feel?
Yes, most definitely. I was going through a hard time when I decided to do the nonprofit leadership. I had recently just lost my sister and I needed something to keep me going. So I said, you know what? I need to stay busy. So I had finished my bachelor's. So I said, you know what? Let me go off for it. And then honestly, while I was doing it, I was like, a nonprofit management is huge. Nonprofit is very big and dear to me. It's given me that opportunity to see firsthand on how much of an organization could make an impact for the community, not just myself, but for the communities.
I know, again, we were in the same program together and we went through a lot together emotionally. I remember one time I was at a hotel for work, you were at another hotel for work. We had assignments due. And I know I said like how I did it, but how did you really navigate working full time in admissions and then going for your master's degree? People don't talk about it enough. Like, how did you do that?
Honestly, it wasn't easy, like you said, especially since I was out traveling a lot and helping the admissions department. I just kept motivating myself. I do remember that day we were doing our deadlines and we were both up late and I was at work. I was at the hotel right after the fair. I think it's the ability that the students do see. They're like, oh, ma'am, you did it while you were working. And I say, it's possible. If you want it, it is possible. It's very impactful to me and it makes my heart feel good. So I'm just not only proud of myself, but I'm proud of being able to be a role model.
No, I agree. And if I could give any advice to my listeners who are thinking about going back to school or afraid of it, if I could give any advice, it would be to surround yourself with people that help you in the classroom. Like I met you, I met Jen. Really align yourself with classmates that can help you get through these challenging times because the amount of times that I was on the phone with you, with Jen, I think it's important to align yourself with other classmates. What is your take on that? Because you're seeing students as they, first come in, but part of what got me through it was the friendships that I made in my graduate program.
You're spot on. I honestly agree with that. You guys motivated me even more, being like, okay, we got this. Like, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person going through this, working the 8 to 5, sometimes 50, 60 hours a week. You know what? I am that other person just like them, and it's possible. So that really helped me seeing that because it gave me more motivation. And then, as well as like seeing the other students ask questions and even our group chats that we created, that helped so much. If we didn't understand something, sharing and getting the information out there, we were all aligned on getting the same type of information across the board to the class and be like, all right, we helped one another. That's what we're there for. So, yeah, that helps so much.
That was a fun part, and like I said, for anyone listening, Rosa, Jen, and I, we still hang out. We just had dinner, so it's fun. I think people need to do that and not be so closed off to, like, only one way of doing things. Like, I can get ideas off of you and Jen and other people, and we can collaborate. It's about collaboration, not just being alone. So if anyone's listening and you feel like you gotta do it on your own, you don't. There's other people in your cohort, or if you're an undergrad in a class that you can connect with. But Rosa, what are the biggest misconceptions Latino families have about admissions?
I would want to say some of the few factors that I've seen is that every Latino thinks you have to be that 4.0 student. And that's not true. Every university takes different types of GPAs. We start off with a 2.5 and above, which doesn't mean that we're not gonna accept you. That's the biggest thing. But more than anything, I think it's the belonging to the university. There's a misunderstanding that, oh, I don't belong there because I have a financial barrier. That's not true, but the misconception would probably be not belonging there and being that 4.0 athletic student. That's not the case.
A lot of Latinos suffer from imposter syndrome, and I brought this up in the previous episodes, but they feel like they don't belong, that they're not worthy of, and I'm like, you are worthy. So you mentioned steps. What are some simple steps, Rosa, that students can take to make the process less overwhelming when they're wanting to go to school?
I'm glad that you brought that up because that is something that I always share with students when I do go do presentations at high schools or anything like that. I always tell them, ask your questions. Never be afraid. If you even want to ask us on the side or ask your counselor, do it. Do research of the schools you're interested in. It's always going to be able to provide you the best outcome for you. Check on who has your academic program. But more than anything, I always tell students to participate in events that the colleges offer, but as well as take tours because you never know what it is to experience it unless you experience it for yourself. Being in that setting, 9 out of 10, I guarantee you, I have a lot of students that take tours and they will tell me, this is the reason why I chose it. Because when I came in, it made me feel I belonged here. It made me feel a lot of weight off my shoulders that I am just like other people here. So that has helped students for them to understand it, but they have to experience it themselves. So never be afraid to ask questions. That's another big one because I'm pretty sure more than one person has the same question.
So you're saying do research and ask questions.
Yes.
What support system should colleges be offering and which ones actually work?
I want to say the most effective programs that do currently work are the ones that are easy to for students to access, some that offer consistent support and they understand the student's background. So colleges offering mentorship, tutoring, financial aid assistance, counseling, and career guidance is huge impact for a lot of students. Those type of services help students out a lot.
So, Rosa, in your view, what impact does one first gen student have on their family and future generations?
This one's very big and touching. And I think, as myself, as being a first generation student, as I mentioned, we have a significant impact on our families and future generations. So we serve as a role model, but also as an inspiration, inspiring other, not just our siblings, but others, the possibility of higher education and opportunities that it can provide.
It allows family members, other Latinos to realize that there is opportunity and it is available to you, to everyone, regardless, like you said, of your GPA, your parents' education. Like you said, your mom dropped out of high school, right? And your dad has a GED. I mean, and the fact that you're on your second master's is pretty remarkable. What do you wish every first gen student knew before applying?
That it's okay not to have all the answers. I didn't have all the answers. It's a part of growing, breaking new ground, whether they're transitioning from a community college to us or even from just high school to us, or even the student that waited 10 years later and coming back now. They don't have to walk the path alone. I want to make sure they do know that. Like I said in the beginning, there are a lot of resources available out there. There's a lot of guidance now that wasn't provided back then. So I think it makes it easier for these students to try to seek out that assistance. I always say ask questions, seek guidance, and trust that there's people really there to support them and empower them just to make it through the higher education journey. But you have to make that initiative and not be afraid, gain the confidence.
So, Rosa, before I ask my last question, I want to thank you for being on the Generation Latino podcast. I think that your story is remarkable. I met you in grad school, and the more I got to meet you, I realized why you're in the position you're in. You help motivate people, you help inspire people. I know for me, I've called you many times when I was in school, needing help and guidance and vice versa. But I really think that your story is remarkable. And I think that the work that you do to help students and that every event you go to, you are truly in it because you love the work that you do. You love the students that you help. You see it. And the whole goal for this podcast is to get listeners and the community that we've built to really help them realize that they are able to get an education, to feel better about themselves, because whether or not you use your degree, it is something that cannot be taken away from you. You've earned that degree. And I want my listeners to know that if you're 18 going to school or you're 88 going to school, you can do it. You can do it. But I just want to thank you for being on here and I really appreciate it. I have one last question. For parents who didn't go to college, how could they best support their children's journey?
Encourage them more than anything, but get informed. Attend college events with them. Take advantage of the guidance available for first generation families because it really does help. We're one to know since our first generation population is very high. We not only educate the student, but we're educating the parent to walk alongside that they're not doing it alone. And if they don't know, ask. There's never a wrong question to ask.
Well, thank you for that, Rosa. I appreciate that. My official last question. If you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
A motivator. I'm very passionate about what I do. I worked my way up and it just started with me taking the initiative. How can we better adjust? And then I started really getting into, okay, well, the student might not complete it because they don't know the process to complete it. And it's because they don't have the confidence or maybe they don't have the guidance of the counselor. So that helped me develop a lot. And then when the students started coming to the institution, and they started sharing their stories, it made me feel a sense of obligation to them for them to see that it was possible. So I got very passionate with it, especially when you still have those students coming back. And I had about 11 students that just came back and they're like, hey, I just graduated with my bachelor's and I've enrolled for my master's. And that feeling overpowers everything and anything. It really makes me feel good that we'd help those students.
Well, there is no doubt that you're helping thousands of students. Once again, Rosa, I want to thank you. When I called you up and said, hey, can you be on my podcast? You're like, I need you on because, again, the work you do, people need to know that it is possible, that college is possible, that education, higher ed is possible, regardless of where you come from. I preach that all the time, and I want listeners to know that. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you, Rosa. I love you.
Thanks, Paul. Have a good one.